While you were watching the Super Bowl last night, the Pentagon was holding a late Sunday night news conference to talk about a fourth incident where they had to shoot something down over the skies of North America. Good morning, it's Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. Your thoughts about all of this? Did you take a break from watching football to tune into the news that was happening at the Pentagon with the news conference? Listen, I don't blame you for being as plugged in as maybe I am. I get paid to do this. It's my job to sit in front of the fire hydrants of news with my mouth wide open and just take it all in. But it was pretty remarkable and something that, quite frankly, I don't have any memory of, that the Pentagon was holding a news conference about UFOs during the nation's largest sporting event. Really kind of brought to mind this idea of, bread and circus. How we, can easily get distracted at times by flashy things, while some significant happenings are going on. So what's the latest here? Of course, you all remember the shoot down of the Chinese spy balloon that traversed the entire country late January when it was spotted over Montana. And then, because it was spotted by the naked eye, you had the Pentagon reporting on its whereabouts, and then ultimately it was shot down, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So since then, there have actually been now 4 different things that have been spotted, and 3 of which have been shot down. Of course, you have, the spy balloon February 4th, but then on February 10th, North Alaska, you had an object that was shot down, and then over the Yukon the following day, a cylindrical object was shot down, and apparently February 12th, an octagonal object was shot down. And the Pentagon having to hold a news conference because now there are 4 objects that were shot down over the skies of North America just in the span of about 8 days or so. So here's a little bit of some of that Pentagon news conference where they were, asking questions of Pentagon officials. In particular, the questions here were, has this ever happened before? Is this something new to actually have this many things shot down in a short span time?
Just one quick follow-up. 4 shoot downs in 8 days. When was the last time that U.S. fighters were scrambled and shot something down over U.S. airspace? I can't remember anything. And it just seems like there's a large and quick escalation to shooting down objects.
I'll have to get with our historians. I believe this is the first time within United States of America airspace that NORAD or United States Northern Command has taken kinetic action against an airborne object.
That's pretty remarkable. So even that Pentagon official indicating that this is a first in his memory. He's going to have to get with the historians on this, but they went on further to say that, they've scrambled jets before in the past to deal with objects, but they've never had this happen, at least in recent modern memory of what exactly is going on there. How are these objects being categorized? That's another question that was asked yesterday late during the news conference that was held during the Super Bowl.
Thank you, Tar. Thank you, sir, ma'am. Let's go to Jen Griffin, Fox News.
Hey, thanks, Pat. This is Liz. I'll be asking for Jen today. Are these balloons that have been shot down since Friday, or are they weather balloons?
Thanks very much for the question. Yep, go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, so I'm not going to categorize them as balloons. We're calling them objects for a reason. Certainly the event off the South Carolina coast for the Chinese spy balloon, that was clearly a balloon. These are objects. I am not able to categorize how they stay aloft. It could be a gaseous type of balloon inside a structure, or it could be some type of a propulsion system. But clearly, they're able to stay aloft. I would be hesitant to and urge you not to attributed to any specific country. We don't know. That's why it's so critical to get our hands on these so that we can further assess and analyze what they are.
So again, they will be getting their hands on these things to assess what they are, but we don't know what they are. They're unidentified at this point. So again, you had one on northern Alaska. They're apparently having some trouble getting to that because, well, it's darn cold. Then you had one shot over the Yukon, and then one shot over Lake Huron. Different reports as to how they're categorized. One was cylindrical, according to some reports. Another one was octagonal, according to some reports. So what's going on here? Another question that was asked of the late Sunday evening Pentagon news conference was, are these aliens? What's going on here?
Hi, thanks, Pat, and thanks for doing this. This is for General Van Herk. Because you still haven't been able to tell us what these things are that we are shooting out of the sky, that raises the question, have you ruled out aliens or extraterrestrials? And if so, why? Because that is what everyone is asking us right now.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Helene. I'll let the intel community and the counterintelligence community figure that out. I haven't ruled out anything at this point. We continue to assess every threat or potential threat unknown that approaches North America with an attempt to identify it.
So they haven't ruled out anything. What do you think about all of this? While you were watching the Super Bowl, this was going on at the Pentagon with a news conference, talking about objects being shot out of the sky. It's incredible. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Whoever it was that mentioned in their recent memory, I think, wasn't there like the Battle of Los Angeles when they had to shoot down or shoot at unidentified?
Yeah, and that was back in the 40s, I think. You also had some objects that were sighted over the White House back in the 40s, and but that's that's decades ago. That's a lifetime ago.
I'm not as old as him, and I remembered it.
Well, right, but yeah, again, I mean, as far as modern memory, and maybe we'll get a more clarity on that answer. I appreciate the call, 217-629-7970. Good morning, you're on WMAY.
Hey, Greg, you had mentioned Super Bowl commercials. Yeah. The only one I saw that was worth a darn was the one that was based on Caddyshack.
All right, I'll see if I can find that one. What was the product? Do you remember? This is always the test. This is always the test of Super Bowl commercials because people talk about the premise of the commercial, but when you get down to what the commercial is actually selling, do you remember the brand? What was it?
It was some kind of adult beverage. It might have been Budweiser, but I'm not certain. It was an adult beverage.
They spent how much money, do you think, for them to put that commercial together, and branding didn't quite stick?
Well, I'm not a big adult beverage person. If it was me, they'd be out of business before the year was up. So, all right, thank you.
Appreciate the call, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. And we'll, of course, take more of your calls as they come in here with Springfield's Morning. All right, been taking your calls about the fourth UFO shot down over North American skies in the past 8 days. Now, one of those was a Chinese spy balloon that China says was actually a weather balloon. But apparently there's some kind of animation that's coming out of China. It's being shared on social media that, it kind of shows China making some fun of the United States. Here's some of that animation that they put together. Shows a jet tailing a balloon, using a machine gun to try to shoot at it, and the balloon making all kinds of maneuvers. Spy cameras looking at who exactly is flying that jet, with missiles being shot and missing the balloon, and the balloon doing a maneuver to then get behind the jet, which it goes on from there, and the jet tries to get around and get the balloon and tries even more munitions. It's a pretty clever animation, but obviously it's something that is being shared around the globe on social media. And is it something that's ridiculing the U.S. for not taking down that spy balloon for 3 days and letting it traverse the entire country? But while you were watching the Super Bowl, and I'd love for you to tell me the best Super Bowl commercials that I should check out, because I didn't watch the Super Bowl last night. I was, hanging out and getting ready for the week and watching the Pentagon with a late-night news conference talk about how they don't know what these objects they're shooting out of the sky are. 3 after that Chinese spy balloon, 1 being octagonal, 1 being cylindrical. What do you think about all this? 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. You can chime in live and local. Again, 217-629-7970. Did have somebody share with me that the commercial that caller called about earlier was for Michelob Ultra, promoting a Caddyshack spin-off style series coming to Netflix, complete with Kenny Loggins' song "I'm All Right" in the ad. Also said that Tony Romo played the Bill Murray character, which makes sense because he's actually a scratch golfer, can and actually plays at certain events. It's a lot more than I needed to know about a commercial or the people in it, but I appreciate that. Good morning, you're on WMAY.
Good morning, Greg.
Hey.
I think after the first fiasco where they took so long to shoot it down, that they had to make the president look good. So these others were, who knows where they came from, but it was a virtue signal. I think Biden's been letting the Chinese fly these balloons for a while, and someone just happened to see it, and they had to react, but they had to fulfill their agreement.
So, this was brought up a lot with Friday, the news coming out that there was a second object shot down, and this was at the northern tip of Alaska. And people were speculating, well, now the Biden administration's just taking, extrajudicious steps to take these things out because he was criticized for not doing enough with the Chinese spy balloon. And then over the weekend, Saturday, 1 shot over the Yukon, Sunday, 1 shot over Lake Huron. Obviously, there's something going on here, and is it that the president's trying to make up for not shooting down that spy balloon sooner? I can't answer that. The motives behind that seem to be that they're fine-tuning their radar equipment and seeing these objects. But what exactly are these objects? Are they independently propulsed objects from a different country? Are they just junk that seems to be floating around? One was apparently the size of a car. Another was cylindrical shaped, according to reports, and another was octagonal shaped, according to reports. But the Pentagon's saying that they may release images of these because they do have imagery capabilities with the jets that they use to take these out. So are we going to see these, or are the intelligence communities going to try to keep that under wraps because they don't want other countries knowing that they got eyes on what they're using to come into this country and violate our airspace? We'll take another call. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, good morning. It's unfortunate that we don't have a leader that can address the nation about the, nation he's been given the opportunity to protect. And obviously, the blood is in the water. They smell the weakness. I assume we have enemies in the world, which I'm quite positive we do. But you haven't heard anything from our illustrious leader. I mean, not a word.
So you're wanting Biden to address the nation on this. Should he also take questions from media?
Oh, of course, but we all know that that's impossible because the man can't string a sentence together or a cognitive thought. So we're basically in trouble.
Well, I appreciate the call, and you raise an interesting point. Should President Biden address the nation on this? Because as we're hearing from officials at the Pentagon, you've got this being the only instances in at least one official's memory of this happening, where they not only scrambled jets, but they were shooting things out of the sky over North America. And this happened not just once in the span of 5 months. No, didn't happen twice in the span of 5 years. No, this happened 4 times in the span of 8 days. What is going on? Should the president address the nation on this and take questions from members of the independent press? That's an interesting point. Appreciate the calls. And we'll obviously be monitoring this and a whole bunch of other things moving forward.